Forget beach replenishment and groins, goats will soon be protecting the coastline here in Bournemouth. They'll keep the vegetation under control, too much of it, and the roots break up the soil. But the unusual scheme reflects a national shift in the way beaches are managed.
The government is changing the way it thinks about the coastline. You cannot conserve the coast. You can't pickle it in aspic and say we want it like this forever. It's dynamic, it's changing all the time, and rather than simply protecting the coastline, they are beginning to consider managing the risk.
And quantifying that risk is the job of the Channel Coastal Observatory. They're based at the National Oceanography Centre in Southampton, from where they monitor the entire south coast. It's the first time a unified approach is being taken to coastal change, but it's a lengthy process.
We need to measure both the response variables, which is what's happening at the coast, and the forcing variables, which are essentially the sea conditions and the tidal conditions, which are making those changes. And you really need a very long-term record of these changes to be able to start projecting into the future with any form of reliability.
But putting the data to use is up to individual local authorities, and getting right the management of the coastline is vital, with many people living very close to the shore. Here in Southbourne, there's houses perched mere metres away from the seafront. They're perfectly safe though, because here there's adequate sea defences. But further along the coast in Hengistbury Head, the situation is a little bit different. According to data collected by the residents, within the next 50 years the lowest part of the head will gradually erode, forming an island. When it does, Christchurch and the rest of the bay will face the full force of the sea, something they currently have no protection against.
It's a total lose-lose situation. Immediately the sea breaks through the head, you will have a significantly larger rise and fall of the sea, which just that on its own would flood untold properties all around the harbour and up the River Stour.
But the council puts the risk of that happening at only 1% per year, meaning it's very unlikely to happen even in 100 years.
My guess is you might be looking at 120 to 150 years, so it shouldn't happen in the lifetime of anybody who lives there now.
So while scientists deliberate the fate of Hengistbury Head, some are more concerned about the outlook of our shoreline as a whole. With weather like this increasing in severity and regularity, never before has the future of our coastline looked so uncertain. In Bournemouth, this is James Laidler reporting.